How I kind of view greed is not so different than salt. Greed and desire and ambition is a very important ingredient, if you will. Like a salt, in order to have a great tasting dish, you need salt. It's just that when you oversalt it, it's over.
Welcome to the show. On this episode, we have my very dear friend Simon Kim, the restaurateur behind some of the hottest restaurants in the entire world, Cote Korean Steakhouse, COQODAQ, the fried chicken place. He's about to open 550 Madison in New York. It's a massive bazillion-dollar project. And he's also got COQODAQ, which is going crazy right now at the US Open. Everyone on Instagram is posting their nuggets. It's one of the biggest successes in food history world, the history of the world. It's bigger than the dinosaurs. I am talking to Simon today about what makes good hospitality, how he expands without being tacky, without being corny, without diluting. He loves metaphors. He's very funny. He's very thoughtful about restaurants, and about business, and about the world, and about people. Please enjoy this episode. Thank you very much. To start off with, I think we can do like a little quick history of how you got maybe to this point in your life with all your success and all your restaurants.
Sure. So born and raised in Seoul, Korea. Came to New York when I was 13 years old. Uprooted, tried to really settle down into America. Grew up in Long Island. I went to school in New York City. Didn't really work out. I was studying finance. That was not my thing. So I transferred out to Las Vegas to study hotel management. And in Las Vegas, that's when my kind of career all started. You know, I fell in love with the hospitality, working at this giant hotel casino front desk agent. Fast forward, I come back to New York, work for amazing restaurateurs and chefs, learn my trade, but I always wanted to do my own restaurant, so opened my first restaurant, Italian Korean restaurant called Piora, 2013. Learned so much and was able to express my kind of creative vision there, but financially was not successful. We got a Michelin star there, kept it for 4 years, but ultimately Korean Steakhouse was my thing. So 2017 finally opened that, and that sort of kind of like popped off. And COVID happened, went through a whole slew of difficult times, but we went through it. We opened Miami, and opened COQODAQ the following year, which is our fried chicken. And then we opened Cote Singapore in Asia. And now we're on our way to open Cote Las Vegas. And I'm enjoying this ride.
When you just had one Cote, how many employees did you have?
I believe about 25 employees.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now you have 5-ish, 7-ish restaurants, including a giant mega fuck restaurant with 3 restaurants in it. How many employees do you have now?
Once 550 Madison is fully open, probably about 800 employees. Yeah.
Having that many employees, what challenges have what challenges have you started to find in terms of like being able to have a relationship with all those employees and making sure that Simon Kim's philosophy is spread amongst them?
Yeah, so when you have this intimate mom and pop of a restaurant, everything evolves around you, the principal or the chef. And since you're there, you don't need really systemization. And as a restaurateur or chef, we kind of initially associate ourselves more as an artist, not necessarily as like a CEO or corporate executive, if you will, right? It's more of like yes, we're entrepreneur, but we're more of a people person.
Right.
We love our craft, sort of like we don't like corporate job. That's why we took restaurant job almost.
Right.
It's really interesting to see that restaurant job is now turning into a corporate job, if you will. So that's really interesting.
Right.
I haven't figured that out, but how do we actually adopt those corporate processes, but not lose the creativity angle and something that's whimsical. It's a restaurant of the moment. It's spontaneous. We make our guests delightful. Yeah. You can offer satisfaction to our customers. In a corporate setting, but offering a profound delight is surprise.
Well,
right?
Delight is organic.
Correct.
You offer delight when you're on the floor.
Correct.
Yeah. Do you have moments throughout the day now where you're in the corporate setting and you're like, fuck, like I've lost some of that organic touch?
I mean, I think frankly speaking, when you have so many people, and these are like inspired people, who we select as our kind of leadership is some of the most important decisions. In fact, the most important decision.
Right.
There's nothing more important than picking the right people to lead your team. So when you have these individuals, that's pretty autonomous. They're actually self-driven people, almost an entrepreneur of their own.
Well, they have to be.
Striving for excellence. And when you have these people, you almost reluctantly kind of don't want to be too much present. So I miss being on the floor so much, and also I drink my own poison as well. Like, it's like, I don't need to be there, but it's always, as a restaurant owner and it's always better for you to be at the restaurant.
Right.
And if you're getting in the way of operation, you just have to stop. You can be present without being in their hair, if you will. And if you haven't figured that out,
right,
which I haven't exactly, I'm starting to really figure that out. I'm there almost as a mascot. The days of me being the star, me saving the day, which it used to make me really feel good about myself. Oh my God, look, I saved the day. But now that's not my job.
So sometimes you almost have to let things go wrong a little bit while you're watching.
Exactly. I think it's like being a parent.
Yeah.
I have two beautiful children. So if you keep removing things that they're going to drop because you don't want them to drop, then they're never going to really learn. Sometimes you have to leave the objects, and then don't fix it there, right? And trust your leaders that you picked. To acknowledge it and to learn it. And if you don't let the J curve to, the little bit of a J curve to happen, you're always just going to spend your entire life as that restaurant person that just never leaves.
And have you learned that actually recently?
I am still learning, right? I think I learned that I lived through that when I had my first restaurant. I just lived there. I was not making a lot of profit, so I couldn't go anywhere else anyways, right? Only place where I can eat and drink and enjoy life was my own restaurant, just because the restaurant was not very profitable. So vicious cycle. So I end up staying there, recognizing all the flaws. So basically you and the restaurant become one. And to be fair, it actually is a great feeling. It's almost like driving a car and you are the car. You're like, but little do you know that without you, car doesn't function, and car without car, like you become one. It might feel good, but I think that's the trap.
When you're thinking about expansion, like how do you make sure that greed is not getting in the way of expansion? Like how do you make sure that you're making the right moves? Like what mistakes do big restaurant groups make that you're aware of?
So the concept that I have that always sticks in my head is like Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
In restaurant, everyone's got to drink the Kool-Aid, right? So let's say if you have like a gallon of Kool-Aid, and to make that gallon of Kool-Aid, I needed 1 pouch of a thing. If you put 1 more gallon of water, it's going to dilute. It's going to be 50% concentration.
So you always have to make sure you have enough powder.
You got to get the powder, yes. You got to make sure that, but as you expand, as you put in 1 more gallon, if you put 2 more pouches, the Kool-Aid gets actually more concentrated, So as the company grows because of customer success and we just hired a whole, like a research and development department.
Right.
Very large payroll, very well accomplished, amazing chefs that didn't exist in our wheelhouse, right? That's going to come and really support our, David and Chef SK, Chef David.
Right.
At COQODAQ.
So they're going to make more Kool-Aid.
More Kool-Aid, yes. Right. So basically, there is, we can always figure out adding more water. You open more restaurants, right? It's very simple. Just open more restaurant that is equivalent of adding more water, more seats, more revenue, more people. But what are you doing with the concentrate, which is, the passion?
Got it. So the
Yeah, the
impulse,
thought.
there's two problem impulses. The impulse is to either serve diluted product, or the impulse is to be like, holy shit, I've got success. Let me make even stronger Kool-Aid and get away from the original recipe, which is simplicity.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because if you think
So
about
like
it,
now
Dan,
you have a million concepts you could do.
but
If
forget about even concepts.
Yeah.
Like as rapidly as we may seem like we're expanding,
Yeah.
we're opening a 250 seat restaurant in Las Vegas, and we're opening 3 floors of opening in 550 Madison. These are massive, massive projects. But the sheer amount of project that we're saying no to
Right.
is like insanity, right? We're really ensuring that like the amount of water, how many gallons of water that we put in does not extend the ratio of our secret recipe of how much powder, how much gallons of water. That is our formula. We never want to deviate. The more formula we have, don't get me wrong, I'm not afraid of adding more water, right? I know what the formula is. But once your customers that are loyal to you start drinking your Kool-Aid, and it's like it's not it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
of it,
It's
right.
very hard to get it back, So I think you can always, I think adding water is the easy part, but ensuring that you're never forgetting, like, is the ratio good,
The other thing I also noticed from my history of following restaurants and kind of reporting on them is that I feel like people in your position have expanded and then allowed their original projects, which were the things that made them cool or successful in the first place. Like their new things will be amazing, but they will allow their original ones to become lesser versions of themselves. And I think it's exactly what you're saying, where people go there and they drink that Kool-Aid, and it actually hurts the rest of your brand when the original restaurants are not as good as they were.
I don't know. I mean, so if you look at it just simple way, that comment is fairly true, right? One project cost probably almost 20 times more than one project, right? So it's like 15x the capex. So more budget, more exciting things that you can do, more features. It's almost like your first car was
You're saying the first one you built versus the newer ones you're building.
correct.
Gotcha.
It's just different ball game,
Yeah.
right? You're like, I actually use this. You have a little pirate ship with a little sailboat. You're like going around, kind of like
That's your first restaurant?
That's my first restaurant.
Okay.
It was like you have to bootstrap everything, Whereas now I have a really amazing like full battleship. This has like all the features, state of the art, an amazing team. It's like a brigade of like really talented teams. So I think there's a Korean word.
Yeah.
It's called choshim. It's the heart of beginners, or beginning heart, if you will. I think that's the most important, Like, what are you in for? Don't get me wrong. I'm, growing the business, and as an entrepreneur, it's really tempting. Like, this is exciting. The numbers of the amount of capital, the amount of revenue that we can, like, the potential, the growing of the business is definitely exciting. But I think it's so important as a restaurateur. It's not about the money. It really isn't, You have to enjoy boating, like how the sail, like, physically feels, how it glides and how it propels. It's got such a unique thing, You have to be an aficionado. You genuinely have to enjoy the mechanisms and feels of analog camera versus digital camera, right? Like, if you, and I think that's so important.
And in that way, they're equally as fun to ride.
Absolutely. In fact, sometimes vintage car is so much more fun to drive.
But how much of your do you make a point of making sure that X amount of your brain power is still focused on the original restaurant?
Most definitely. I live in New York, and Cote New York and COQODAQ. I mean, Cote New York is where it all started, right? So, I mean, for me, I'm just really grateful that it's like a writing my own life story, right? And that's where it started. So how we keep it is so important. And if I may share, I feel like as like an immigrant guy, really worked hard with the like, I wanted more, I wanted more. And quite frankly, right now I already have more than I ever wanted, but I still want more, thinking that like more will make me happier. But I don't think that's really true. Don't get me wrong, I'm a ambitious entrepreneur. I still want more, right? Because I want to grow the company and have more positive influence and whatnot. But deep inside, I think I am truly understanding it's not like having and getting more will not bring more happiness. Giving more to what you already have, I think is path to your happiness. The friends that you have now, the family that you have now, the restaurants that you have now, the customers that you have now, and the business partners that you have now, if you give them more, I think that is like a profoundly, like the pet that you have, the dog, go home and love that dog more, love your girlfriend more, or love, your kids more. I think that is like when you give more, not receiving more, I think is the pathway to happier life.
So a lot of your job is slowing down, actually.
I don't know. Sometimes, but it's also my job to step on the gas, right?
Well, you got to do both.
Step on the gas, step on the brake. So because I'm responsible for so many of my business partners and our employees. And also, Dan, how I kind of view greed is not so different than salt. Like we live in America, we live in New York, greed and desire and ambition is a very important ingredient, if you will, right? It's just that like a salt, in order to have a great tasting dish, you need salt. It's just that when you oversalt it, it's over.
But a little hint of greed.
A little hint of greed, yes. I mean, call it greed, call it ambition, call it like desire to excel. I think this kind of a competitive edge and desire, I think is...
That's what we do here.
I think that's the horsepower of entrepreneurs, right?
Like, I really want to know what makes a place cool. And I think you know that better than anyone. And you think so much about individual guests. You asked me one time, where do you think you are versus who you would say is the least cool diner in the dining room? You asked me that one time, like in terms of how you approach the floor. And you're a fairly cool person.
Oh, thank you.
But I didn't know. I thought maybe maybe you're around the same. If this is the least cool person in the restaurant, you're here. And then you said, no, you are below the least cool person in the restaurant. And it's not like you spend your time judging how cool people are, but you do have a lot of, famous people or whatever who are eating at the restaurants. But is that something that you pass on to your team? Like, can you explain that philosophy to me?
I speak less about cool because I think cool people, when I observe a bunch of cool people, they don't talk about being cool. I think that's number one, But what I do talk about is physics.
Right.
So the things that I talk about my team is, so let's talk about hot restaurants. What creates heat?
Yeah.
What does? Work with me here, Dan.
Oh, friction.
Yes, friction creates heat. And
Sorry, I didn't know this was interactive.
Yeah. What happens to a balloon or things that gets heated?
Pop.
It elevates.
Okay.
Yeah, it elevates. And I think that's basically what happens in hot restaurants. There's a lot of friction. People are coming in, they're talking about you, and it just becomes hot. That's the definition of a hot restaurant, right? There's a lot of friction. And what happens is they escalate. They think they're too cool, and they disappear into thin air, and no one's seen them ever again.
Right.
How many times have you heard of this story?
When their heads just start to float into the sky.
And I've seen one too many restaurants that become like that, right? Another one bites the dust.
Right.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
They had their moment.
Correct, and you fly away. But to defy that, it's what needs to happen is just like hot air balloon caused by friction heated goes up, just like that, there's a force of gravity. So water always flows from top to bottom. So what I tell my team is always position yourself lower than our customer. then their love and their water will consistently flow. And even during the worst of the drought, we'll be able to survive because our customers will continuously love us. And that humbleness, I think, is such an important aspect.
And also, restaurants are there because you like to give people comfort, give people an experience. The second people walk in and you look at them like, wow, you guys are lucky to be in our house tonight, then that dynamic completely shifts in a way that's not natural for what you're actually doing. You're serving.
Right. And don't get me wrong, like that is, it's such a easy pitfall. You know what? Sometimes customers actually like it. They're like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow, look how chic this restaurant is. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so lucky to be here.
Look how chic Simon is.
But things like that do not last. What lasts is genuine hospitality, where we, it may look a little dusty. I think it's sexier to have really sexy host team and basically like, oh, excuse me, like creating this kind of chic vibe. It's so tempting because it's kind of sexy. I'm not gonna lie, right? But and some of those formulas really work, and I respect them. It's just that my formula just happens to be different.
So how do you make sure that you're like, when you're in your restaurants, how do you make sure you personally are like have swag but not too much swag, or is that something you don't think about?
I think it's embedded. I don't really need do that like consciously, but it's in my like I've been a restaurant manager all my life, right? And I was a server, bartender, and I was a busboy when I was younger. So I think it's kind of embedded, the hospitality, and also Koreans are kind of educated to be really polite. So we, like we bow a little. There's a little bit of this kind of like, yes, yes, thank you. Nice to meet you.
You're
right?
lowering yourself.
It's about just respect.
Right.
I don't think anybody's really expecting a bow or anything, so weird. I think it's more along the lines of, the intent is for me to transfer how grateful I am for your presence and your business. It just, as long as you have that, I think people get it, right? Like we live in New York, and New York people are extremely intelligent. We're hyper aware. We can kind of understand this person is genuine or this person is not. So you can be chic. You don't have to be so like, oh, hi Dan, beautiful plaid shirt. I love.
Do you really feel like that?
Yeah. But once again, like you can just go in and say, hi Dan.
Yeah.
Good to have you. And if it's genuine, it transfers, right? And like you feel good, know?
Yeah. Okay, so back when you were really on the floor, let's say you walk in to the restaurant for the night, and you feel like the vibes just aren't there for whatever reason. What strings are you looking to pull to make to
I mean, the best is shots. Because again, I kind of see restaurants as almost as like a furnace. Sometimes it's burning. Sometimes it's like wilted, it's kind of cold fire, right? It's a little sad. You just put a bunch of lighter fluid, which is tequila shots, Just go in, and you have to be part of it. You can't just be like removed and just like pour it, You got to get in, and all it takes is a couple of tables to start feeling good, and that's when, sometimes loud music is not good because loud music can kind of like prohibit customers' energy from building. So you want to kind of lower the energy, in fact, to bring up the low energy, and then fuel some fire. And as that kind of vibrates, you start to turn on the music to like so that it's like leveled. Now they're vibing, and then you start to turn it up. It's like turn it up.
Right. You don't want to turn the shower too hot while they're not feeling
correct.
Like being in hot
Exactly.
water. Got
exactly. You gotta like get everyone comfortable. Sometimes you go into a restaurant, it's completely misaligned, and that's when people are like, why is this place so loud?
So but let's say beyond that, like what are the first checks you're making? You walk in, it feels kind of dead. Are you first going to see if the kitchen's being slow? Like, are you checking the music first? Are you checking to see if people are drinking?
No, you first look at the customers.
Okay.
all the answer is in customers. You don't need to look at the kitchen. You don't need to look at anything, right? Like if they're cold, they're going to have jackets on, and like, you know, their gesture is like that. You know, the ladies are kind of like, that's the first bad sign, right? When it's cold, there's no energy. And if the food is not coming out, everybody's like, where's my food, you know? And if somebody's drinks are not running out, or they don't have all the empty glasses, and they're like, where's my drinks, you know? So all the answers in customers. I think what's important is you always look at the customers and really be observant, and don't immediately get to work, right? Like observe for a lot longer than you need to, you know?
Okay.
Before I used to be like, you know, make a lot quicker moves, but now I start to kind of see a little longer, because you can just see a lot more when you like a little breather, and you're making a little more sound decisions based on their actions. And then once you assess it, and your leaders also look at you like, oh, what is Simon going to do? Just kind of take it a little slower, so that it's not just this kind of like creating this chaos. You don't need to abruptly change the pace and like fix it. Like it's almost like before when I was younger, like, oh, this is not the music. Stop the music, change the record, and like customers were able to see it. Albeit they like the new track, that's what they're looking for. Now I want to like smoothly transition so that people do that
Right.
like realize, right? So that blend it in.
I think one of the things that you do the best, and people mention this in videos and stuff that you've done, I think better than anyone I've seen, you put yourself in the shoes of the diner, of the customer. Is that something that someone taught you, or is that just something that you kind of figured out along the way?
I don't know how I learned it, but it's user experience.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, my product is what customer receives, not what I sell. You know, there's actually a huge delta between that line, right? This is the experience that I'm selling, but what they're buying is very different. Especially if you're selling a CPU chips or engine that has like X amount of horsepowers and whatnot, then it's a little different because it's engineered, right? It's measurable. But a food experience is what's the metrics? How do you measure the engagement? How do you measure? It's very difficult to do that. So oftentimes what chef and restaurateur intend to provide and what customers actually receiving, basically product they're creating, product that customers are buying actually is misaligned many times. So where we try to start is basically we start at user experience. What are they purchasing? And then fill in the blanks almost from this end to the back end.
Got it.
So it creates, there's a lot less room for misalignment. What customer wants is what they get.
The reason I ask you all this is because there's a moment that we did together in one of those videos where you reviewed this seafood tower, and there were some razor clams on the top of it. And I remember you sat yourself low.
Yeah.
Because you were putting yourself in the seat of where the customer would be, and you were like, if I'm not really good with chopsticks and I try to eat this razor clam, it's going to go all over the place, and then I'm going to feel silly.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I was watching that, like, I'm obsessed with user experience, but I wouldn't have thought to like position my hands to get actually physically lower. And that I was really taken by that. I thought that was really cool, and just a very humble way of understanding, like, whatever you make is irrelevant. It's what they consume that's relevant.
100%, right? And like flavors could be most delicious, but if you are, when do you order a raw bar? You're celebrating. It's a fun night, and sometimes dinner's not always so smooth, right? And you try to bring your plate, and then it like dumps all over the table, and you're like, you can be embarrassed, and it just creates that small little embarrassment can actually ruin somebody's entire night, right? Like I'm on a first date and this person thinks now I'm an idiot. Now I'm like insecure, like blah, blah, blah. It cascades so much into like to an abyss where a chef just wanted to serve some razor clam,
cool, right, and now it's on top of someone's head.
And like this person is now like insecure, and they're not like they're gonna break up. Like crazy things can happen in midst of like 9 o'clock at hot restaurant. Like it's a high stakes game. Somebody's closing a $1 billion deal. There's just so much at play. So
how do you think about it in terms of like the nuggets at the U.S. Open?
yeah,
Like you're putting yourself in the position of, you're like, if I'm sitting at the U.S. Open, what do I want to eat?
right.
And then is that how you think about it?
I think about it in all different angles. Number one, let's think about sandwich,
Sure.
which is very popular. If I'm watching a tennis match, this is a very aggressive behavior, right? Like, that's like that's very difficult. I don't think, or
Requires some real jaw flexibility.
correct.
Yeah.
And also it's just aggro, right? Like you're dressed nicely.
Spills.
This is US Open. There are a bunch of like cool people around.
But let's say, okay,
Yeah.
you've decided on chicken nuggets. So can you walk me through the experience ahead of time of like, how did you figure out the box? How did you figure out where you wanted everything to sit? Right? Like how do you think about the customer experience and then go back and make the product?
Yeah. So if I'm sitting down watching tennis, I need a little tray, like
Right.
where I can put it on my lap. Not a drink that's vertical, which can be a little difficult. So I need something horizontal that I can rest on my lap, kind of open it up, and then be able to interact with it in a sturdy manner. So that's the idea came where I
Right.
wanted like almost like a tray on your lap. So you open that. And chicken nugget, once again, is the lowbrow. And normally at like a fast food chain, it comes in a clamshell with a little bit of sauce. But it's very difficult to eat that unless you have a table. So we made this kind of a box. And
You give them a table.
exactly. And also I thought about colors, US Open, blue and green court. What's like a really complementary to that color? And orange is sexy. I love orange.
Yeah.
It pops, and of course it's golden nuggets. So we make so we work with amazing companies like our partners at Pentagram. So they help us design this really beautiful packaging, and we work with Think Packaging Group, who is like kind of wizard in packaging design. So together we put together the best team together, and that was the mandate. Like, how do we create this kind of most exciting packaging?
Yeah.
And first year, each box cost me $7.
Jeez. Yeah.
Because we didn't have a lot of time, but I needed that box. So literally, when people bought our chicken nuggets, I would pay, like, along with my chicken nuggets, I'll give $7.
So now you started selling a sandwich this year.
Yeah.
So aren't you worried that the sandwich is not glamorous?
I am. But I 100%. But that being said, initially we're at the Arthur Ashe.
Right.
You also have to understand like where you are. Right?
Now the sandwich is in the food court.
Correct.
Okay.
Food court has tables.
Okay.
Arthur Ashe, there isn't. You are actually expected.
Arthur Ashe is the premium secondary level thing.
That is correct. Yeah, you're at a club level, so you really don't have anywhere to eat. You're actually
Got it.
expected to bring it to either to your seat or so whatnot. So there, that's where I wanted to create the table for our customer through this box. Whereas if you go to food court, you have tables, so you don't really like. And also, I wanted to make sure this is our opportunity to connect with the entire U.S. Open attendees.
Customer base, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted something that's extremely delicious, that's engageable, crushable,
So how did
like
you
craveable.
Did you figure out how to make the sandwich a little classier so that people wouldn't have to do the jaws of death?
Not really. No, I would never make jaws of death.
Yeah.
Like it's just not appealing.
Make it a little smaller.
Always.
Yeah.
I like sandwiches that are a little more horizontal than vertical. I really just find vertical sandwiches extremely inconsiderate. And one of my biggest pet peeves is like, dude, why would you make it like high? It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You have like it's just very, very inconsiderate way of making a sandwich.
Ego.
Yeah, it's just like kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I don't think it's intelligent, Like, whereas like if it's horizontal, it's just really convenient to eat. You don't have to make such an effort, and you get a pretty big mouth. Anyways, so I always make sure it's horizontal. And we did so much R&D because that's like for the sandwich we actually hired legitimate R&D chef, very well decorated, multi-Michelin star restaurant experience, but just a real culinarian. He loves talk about food all day, every day. James is amazing, and he joined the board, and that was his first project. So we're like, let's fucking do this, And but where do we begin? So there's like a plain, sort of like a plain, and then there's like Popeyes. So we like tasted all different chicken sandwiches, and we kind of came to conclusion that we need basically something plain, and then we need something that's spicy, And then we went to town, like, is it Japanese mayonnaise? Is it American mayonnaise or olive oil mayonnaise? Like, we went really deep in, and then like gluten-free batter, which is we're known for. So we really kind of like went in, but like we're not finding success, because we also had to find who we are in sandwich world. And at some point, we found this kind of like cool thing where we put relish, sweet relish, and then we mixed it with the pickled Thai chili. So it was really spicy Thai chili, but because of sweet relish and mayonnaise and crispy chicken, it was an instant hit. And we did like a focus group with a bunch of our like architects, our branding agencies. We got a bunch of people in. Everybody loved this like chili chicken sandwich. And, mind you, time is ticking. And these guys James is cooking. Like, it's like, we got to like present it. And so we're like, okay, like, don't do gluten because it's stupid, because our bread is gluten. Why would I make like gluten-free things? So if you want something gluten, you can
get nuggets.
Gluten-free, get nuggets, right? Like, so let this one be like truly a vehicle for, something that's like craveable,
Yeah.
So that also freed us to make something really like a lot more just delicious. And then we're torn. And then like we decided to put our soy sauce garlic glaze on it. Which is quite sweet. It's not necessarily the most like thing. And then we made this version. So now we have 3 versions, but we also want to make sure that it's not like small amount of SKU allows us to, focus. So we wanted to have 1 SKU. So what am I going to do?
And that means just you only have one offering, one sandwich offering. Yeah,
that's correct. It's very limited amount of space and limited amount of and high level of production and demand. So we have to focus on one thing. And it was really torn because this Thai chili pickled was so popular. Everyone loved it. But so focus group, we had a whole focus group that loved this thing. And we found this soy garlic chicken that I thought it was freaking delicious. I think this is the challenge with the pepper was, where does this Thai chili come from? COQODAQ is like a Korean fried chicken, American fried chicken coming together. So it didn't really exist. Korean fried chicken, American fried chicken, and like in between. That's
Thai chili.
Like, where's Thai chili?
Sort of out.
It's like somewhere else, and it was so delicious. I still like crave it once in a while. So I said, like, you know what? We're not going to go with this. We're going to go with this soy garlic. And then, like, my C-suite executive were like, I veto that. Like, Simon, like, we need to do this. And we're like, we got into a real heated thing. Like,
really?
Yeah, like to a point where, hey, like, and my CEO, Alex, and Alex was like, Simon, people really love this thing. We can't, like, forget what people want,
Right.
We did this focus group for a reason, and they said yes to.
You said fuck the focus group.
No, I mean, kind of, because we didn't offer 3 different options, and also like focus group like that. So I learned. It's not like I didn't learn, right? But ultimately, it needs to align, right? Because
of course,
it's U.S. Open is an important event, arguably the most important sporting event in New York City entirely, So if they're featuring this, we need to go all the way. And anyway, so I remember having a conversation. Hey, Alex, like, are you willing to put your neck on this? If our sandwich does not do well with a Thai chili,
it's your baby.
Are you willing to risk?
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, Simon, what's up? That's not cool. You can't ask me that question. But anyways, like, and then we had a really heart to heart. It was it was hard. Once again, now
Right.
like it's a big enterprise, so I can't just say like do that, do this. I want to make sure that I'm really, and also I also don't want them to say just yes for sake
of course.
yes,
Yeah, you
right?
want you want
but
the
this challenge
diversity.
was very, very positive,
Right.
because at the end of the day, when we as teams struggle more, and like there's this kind of more robust discussions and sometimes arguments, conflicts, and it comes to resolution. Ultimately, the true winner is our customers, right? Because more we struggle, more we are inconvenienced, more pleasure our customer receives. So it was once again. So now we go, like, we laugh, Alex and I, like, dude, this was freaking awesome because we love this new sandwich.
Wait, so what won?
The soy sauce. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And how's it doing?
Like, it hit, it hit, and I'm so grateful, and because it's us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, being authentic, I think it's the most important. And if your authentic self is not that sellable, then you need to be disciplined in changing yourself so you become sellable, so that your messaging and your product becomes sellable.
Mm-hmm.
I think the important thing is this, like what I share is, if you want to do what you want to do, you shouldn't expect to make so much money, because that's your artistic expression of yourself and what you want to do. You should be actually grateful that you don't have to pay to do that, right?
Right.
You're not buying canvas and whatnot. You have a freedom to do that. So I feel like, but if you do what your customer want you to do, then I think you deserve a right to really get paid, right? Like, this is not necessarily exactly what I want to do, but this is what you want me to do. But that's what job is, right?
But also, what you want to do is serve customers.
Precisely, yes. But a lot of times, there's like people who see themselves like artists, people who see themselves as this is what I want to do. This is my restaurant. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
But the question that I totally enjoy serving our customers, right? And I think, I find that it's so fascinating being able to please people. And at the end of the day, business is flourishing, right? And how do you find the balance between this authentic message of what you want to do and what they want to eat, and marrying that together is a true, like, that balancing act of yin and the yang, creating this kind of what you want and what they want, and aligning it so that, everybody gets what they want.
And you love that yin yang.
That's the dance, right? That's the most.
Because you can move them a little bit.
You can definitely move them, but you got to step forward and make that initial contact. Like, let's say if you're on a first date, you have to like make initial contact, and then you play a little bit of reserve, like, shy thing, and that person comes.
I wouldn't know.
You go, you come, you go, you come, and you go, and before you know it, oh my God, that was a fascinating date. And that's what restaurant is.
And she's eating something she never expected she would eat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any? This is really the last question. Are there any, like, along this line? Is there anything that you really want to do restaurant wise that you just know wouldn't work? Like, is there anything you really want to consume that you know just wouldn't work as a restaurant?
I don't know. I think I worked so hard to kind of like balance this act. I almost have become balanced myself, So when I think of new ideas, it's natural that, like, what would customers work, right? Like, and like if it's like, in fact, I actually want to do more of these nonsensical thoughts now.
Yeah.
Now that, like, I'm very grateful for Goat and COQODAQ, and it's highly scalable. It's a bigger volume of a restaurant, so I'm very grateful. But like deep down inside, I want to create something that is like more profoundly creative, But I had to make ends meet, so I had to kind of choose to really, rule out those kind of crazy ideas, and really had to kind of focus on what will be creative, something innovative, but ultimately be not so far away. So hopefully, as I mature, as my creativity continues to get more of a confidence through, having more amazing team, I can do something more fun and exciting.
So you want to go somewhere where not everyone's going to love it?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure. I kind of want to continue, like my business aspect. I like this balance, like I have artists that I really, really respect and I collect their arts of. But as a businessman who is also an artist that I consider myself as, have a creative vision. Like Andy Warhol is perfect. He's commercially successful, but there's no artist who disrespects Andy Warhol.
Right.
But obviously there are a lot more artists that are a lot more esoteric, a lot more has a deeper, a lot more depth, if you will, right? But restaurant is not I don't see restaurant as a sole purpose of expressing myself. It's a business. And, how do you create the perfect balance of commercial success along with creative, authentic vision? Once again, to me, that's the most
That's
fun.
the dance.
Yeah.
And make it you.
Yeah, 100%, right? Like I don't ever want to wear clothes that are not mine, no matter how beautiful that clothes is. I want a clothes that's mine. I want to eat food that's mine. I want to drive, so that I can be like, it doesn't have to be the nicest things, It could be, I just want to live an authentic life, and I want to offer my customers authentic things. In my career, I have made like a handful of conscious decisions to kind of mimic other people. And those are the handful of very small number of regrets that I have. Like,
you have an example?
Yes. Like, I love caviar, and Angie Mar had this really cool croissant and caviar dish, and I thought it was so cool. And when I did brunch, I actually featured that, and it was just such a cringe moment. I was like, that's not my idea, And I think, and Angie, I think saw it too, and Angie's like, that fucking guy, It created this kind of like such a regrettable thing, In my humble opinion, as a restaurateur, there's no like everybody inspires everybody, So like before, I used to be very, everybody's copying, like copying. Oh, that person is copying. That person is copying me. I feel like those are kind of futile things, But I do want to make sure when somebody inspires me, I want to give them credit. It's no different than writing a paper, and if you have an idea that you got from somewhere, just put a footnote. It doesn't make you anything but more intelligent, more credible. Your paper becomes more credible when you do that.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Love you, brother.